Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd, as well as my friends over at yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Today we're going to learn how to do a prayer shawl. This is a really cool design. I actually crocheted my sample last night. I'm going to finish my sample live with you on camera today, and I'm going to show you how to get started because all of these instructions I found really quite difficult in order for me to visualize. So today my goal is to take the mystery out of the starting point, because once you understand how this is done, it's actually really simple. And as I said, I did my sample last night, so once I got these instructions, it was lickety split, and let's get going. So without further ado, you're going to need a 5.5mm size eye crochet hook today. I use Karen Cakes for my sample that I'll show a photo of it, and hopefully that you like that version as well. But you can also see that it was done with Bernat satin, and you can use Karen Simply Soft yarn as well, and the choices are up to you. So without further ado, let me break down this pattern so that you can understand it a lot easier. So though I'm an educator of crochet, this particular design really had me flying by the edge of my seat, trying to figure out exactly what was happening in the first 1 to 4 rows. I wasn't understanding how this was working, and I was really quite confused. And the reality is that I was really struggling to visualize exactly what's happening here, because this photograph really doesn't give you an indication on how it's being done. So without further ado, I want to tell you a little bit about this. So we're going to start on the top of the shawl and work our way down. So as we do the top, this is the biggest area of the shawl, and we're going to do it as a big triangle, and then we're going to get smaller and smaller and smaller as you come to the point. But there's something really unique going on here. You'll notice that if you look really carefully at her, you look like you can see a big splotch of pink, and then there's a bit of patchwork. It reminds me of filet crochet. So that's what's happening here, but it's very strategic on how it's happening, and it doesn't happen on every row. So let me show you my little diagram that I made for you. So here's a quick diagram of what's going to be happening today. So we're going to do a number of things. We're going to chain 201 if you're following the exact design that you are doing. And so what's going to happen is that you're going to come along this really massive chain. You need to make sure you don't lose count on that. Okay, so make sure that you're counting 201. Once you get to that, you're going to do 1 double crochet 5th chain from the hook. Okay, and so you're just going to come straight on down and in. Okay, and this is going to create what you see as a double crochet on the outside. It's going to be the chain 1 here and chain 1 here when you go to do that, and you're going to chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next, and you're going to create that all the way across. You're then going to move out to row number 2, and this is where we start these clusters that I'm going to show you a demonstration of on the actual project. And what's going to happen is that every other row you have these clusters going into position. You should notice that these clusters don't never sit on top of each other, so the next time you go to do it 2 rows later, the next cluster will be directly in the middle of where the other 2 are sitting. So you'll notice in green I put 1, 2, 3, so there's 3 chain 1 spaces and then a cluster, 3 1 chain 1 spaces and then a cluster, and you continue that all the way down the row. You will end up with 3 then left at the end. So the story then changes anything beyond into row number 3 and beyond. You're going to get smaller and smaller into a triangle format once you get into row number 3. So when you finish off row number 2, you're going to be here, and you need to slip stitch over 3 times. So 1, 2, 3, and then chain 4, and then double crochet into the next. And then okay, so the chaining 4 is a double crochet, and that's chain 1. Okay, so that's what that 4 means. Double crochet in the next, chain 1, skip this one, and go into the next double crochet. So you see that these double crochets just sit on top of each other. So every other row is just a straight double crochet like this going across with the chain 1s that separate them, and then in the next row then we introduce the clusters again. Like before, there's 3 empty chain 1 spaces, so we chain up 4. So make sure you slip stitch over first, chain up 4, which counts as a double crochet in chain 1, and then double crochet and keep your spots in, and then you do your cluster that you see here. You'll notice that the clusters have a double crochet, a cluster, and a double crochet all within the same, so it looks like it's all filled in. It very much looks like filet crochet. Then you continue on. So if this row is bigger, it's 3 empty spaces and then a cluster again, 3 empty spaces and then a cluster, and you continue. But because you moved over, see 1, 2, and 3, you don't want to go all the way to the end. Okay, so when you went on to row number 3 here, that when you went all the way across, you slip stitch, but you notice that you did not go all the way to the end. So the same thing here in row number 4, you start up but you don't go all the way to the end. So you always end up eliminating one space out of each side in every row once you get into row number 3 and beyond. So the goal for you is to continue the same pattern. So the next row here would be the same as number 3. It's just double crochets and chain ones, and then the next row after that would be these clusters again, and again you're completing the 3 empties first and then starting the cluster. And the way that it will work out is that they will always be looking like they're it's kind of like interwoven with each other. They're not sitting on top of each other right directly after each other. So let me show you this on the actual pattern itself, like my sample I just did last night. So I will show you what it looks like in person. So here's what it looks like on one edge. You can see that it's tapering in, so it's going all the way to the point. And so what's happening here, you see in the first row you had the chain, and then you came back and you did the double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and you skipped 1 in each chain. So when you came back in the other direction, what happened was is that you were coming along, you left 3 empty spaces, and there, on each side there will be 3 empty spaces. Do you see that? So 1, 2, and 3, and then there was a cluster, and then you had 3 empty spaces again. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and then a cluster. So each one of the clusters has a double crochet right on top of the other double crochet. The clusters in the chain 1, and then the other double crochets on the other side. So you just continue in that same fashion, and if you're looking about in groups of 3, you'll see that it will work out. So 1, 2, 3, cluster. So 1, 2, 3, cluster. So in the next row then after that, it's just straight doing double crochets and chain 1 spaces, and then in the next row you'll have that you'll notice that it's not directly above each of them. So you're going 3 spaces in, so 1, 2, and 3, and then a cluster. But then if you look at it really carefully, here's a cluster and here's a cluster, and the second one so you have 1, 2, and 3. The second one is right straight up. And if you can look for that when you're doing this pattern, it makes this so much easier, and it will be very easy for you to be able to do. So let's grab our crochet hook and let's get you started. So for those doing this shawl, you need to chain 201. For me, I'm just doing a very small sample. It's not a shawl size, just enough to show you how to do the repeat pattern. So you're just gonna chain, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, and go all the way to 201. Make sure you count it carefully, and meet me back here in just a moment. So now that your chain is done, mine's gonna be smaller because it's just a sample, and you're gonna go 5th chain from the hook. So just looking at it, count back. So 1, so count back the chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and go to the 5th one and turn it over and get the back loop only of that chain. So just wrap the hook and go into the back loop only, and I want you to double crochet. Okay, and now you're gonna work your way across this chain. So it's gonna be the same thing. So chain 1 and skip 1 and double crochet into the next, continuing just with the back loop of that stitch or of that chain. Okay, so you're gonna create this what it's gonna appear to be as a ladder. So chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next, and you're gonna do that all the way across your chain. So chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet into the next. And I will see you at the end of this chain, so please do that. Your goal is to have 99 of these chain 1 spaces. You need to have 99. So if you get 98 or 97 or more than 99, you're in trouble. So make sure that it is 99. I'll see you back here in just a moment. So now that I've got all the way across, I'm gonna turn my work and now go for row number 2. Now row number 2, we're not gonna do any decreasing yet for the triangle, but we're going to continue now, and we're gonna start this cluster work then in this particular row. So the clusters will appear every other row going forward. So to start this row, and it's the only time you're ever gonna do this because you're not gonna form the triangle yet, you're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that counted as a double crochet and chain 1, and you're gonna double crochet into the next double crochet. And you're gonna do a total of that so that you have 3 of these empty spaces. So that's 1 empty space. So chain 1 and double crochet into the next double crochet. Okay, so you're focusing on these double crochets that you're working on here. Okay, so chain 1 and go into the next double crochet, and look at this. You now have 3 of those chain 1 spaces. So 1, 2, and 3. So the next one is a cluster. To do the cluster, you are going to just wrap the hook and going into the chain 1 space, wrapping and pulling through. You're going to then pull through 2, and I'm gonna tell you to hold it onto your hook. You're gonna do that 2 more times. So wrap that hook, going into the same space, pull through 2 and hold it. Wrap it again, same space, pull through 2 and hold it. You will have 4 loops on your hook. Wrap and pull through all 4, and that's your cluster. So don't forget, you have to do that double crochet that's sitting on the other side of that in order to finish off this particular look. Okay, so you had 3 empty spaces, 1, 2 and 3, and then this cluster that filled it in, and you're going to continue to do that all the way across your idea here. So chain up 1, skip 1 and go into the next double crochet. So chain 1 and double crochet in the next double crochet. How many spaces are you looking to have separating those clusters? The answer is 3. So you just keep moving along the same fashion, and look, there's 3 empty spaces, so this next one has to be a cluster right in here. So wrap that hook into the space, pull through 2 and hold. Wrap, going into the same space, pull through 2 and hold, and wrap, same space, pull through 2 and hold, and then pull through all 4, and then double crochet the very next double crochet to finalize. So as you work your way all the way across, no matter which level that you're on, you'll always have 3 of these chain 1 spaces left after you do a cluster. Doesn't matter even if it's decreasing into a triangle. So you're just gonna chain up 1 and just finish off this row, and then double crochet in the next, chain 1, double crochet in the next double crochet, and then chain 1 and then double crochet, and you want to double crochet, so leave it chain 1 and go into the second chain over, and that'll keep that distance nice and open for you like that. So you will have a much bigger project than me, but this is what it looks like at this moment. So let's move on to row number 3, and this is when we start decreasing. So let's turn and work and start decreasing. So this is gonna happen every row now going forward. So we want to start up, and the only way to start up is that you have to slip stitch into the first stitch here, the chain 1, and into the first double crochet right here. So you're just gonna stick in your hook into the first stitch and pull through and through. That's a slip stitch. You're going to go into the chain and pull through and through. You're just moving this chains over, that's what you're doing, and then you go into the top of the next double crochet, pull through and through, and now you're ready to go. So your hook should be onto the second one that's in, and therefore you just eliminated these out from the equation. So in row number 3 and every other row, it's the same thing what I'm about to show you. It's gonna be chain up 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4. That's a double crochet plus a chain 1. That's what it's equivalent to, and you come into the next double crochet, and you're just gonna double crochet and then chain 1 and double crochet into the next one. So these clusters, don't worry about the middle cluster, just worry about the double crochets that are on either side only. Okay, so double crochet, chain 1 and go to the next double crochet. See, so you skipped right over that cluster right in the middle, and then chain 1 and keep moving along. So every other row is just like this. There's no clusters in it. You don't have to think much about it, and the only thing you got to think about is that you don't go all the way to the end of the row. You always have to stop 1 space early. Okay, it doesn't matter which row that you're on at this point. Okay, so going forward we're always gonna end. So each row is gonna get less and less, so you'll find you'll get faster and faster. So you have 2 left over. By the time you get to the other side, just go into the last one and you're done. Okay, so leave that last one unfinished, and by the time that this is being worn, this will be shaping into a triangle. Let's go up to row number 4. So row number 4, we turn it and we're gonna reintroduce the clusters back. So you can either count it or you can look for it. Okay, so what we have to do, remember we're starting a new row, so we always have to do the same thing as I told you in the last round. So we have to slip stitch in the top of the first one. So we have to eliminate a box out. We slip stitch into the chain. We slip stitch into the top of the next double crochet, and now we're ready to go. Okay, so that's how you moved over. So now we're gonna chain up 4. So 1, 2, 3 and the 4. So it's double crochet and chain 1. That's what it's equivalent to, and you double crochet into the next one. So how many spaces do you do before you do another cluster? The answer is 3. So there's 1, chain 1, double crochet into the next, chain 1 and double crochet in the next. So what I did is that once you understand this, do you see the other two clusters that are here, 1 and 2? You'll notice that there's 3 spaces, 1, 2 and 3. This next cluster will be in the second one up over. So if you look at the second one, follow it straight up, and if you're looking, it's the third one anyway. So 1, 2 and 3, you got 3 of those spaces in, so we know that this one must be a cluster. And I show you that because you don't have to obsessively count if you can know what to look for. And then you do a cluster and then double crochet in the next, and you continue that all the way. So every one of the clusters in this row will be directly in between the other clusters in the rows below. Okay, and then you continue on in that manner. So chain 1 and you just keep on moving. So then you get 3 empty spaces, and then you will do another cluster, and you'll keep doing that until you get to the other side. And once you get to the other side, then you don't go all the way to the end. You will stop one early because you had a slip stitch on the other side in order to eliminate one box out. So your goal is to continue this same pattern as long as you can go, and you need to have 5 empty spaces. So my next row that I'm about to do is that I need to slip stitch over. So I'm just gonna slip and slip into the chain and slip into the top. And this row, every other row is the same, so there's no clustering on this row. You have a little bit of a mental break. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, double crochet in the next. And so your goal is to have 5 empty spaces left over at the end of your triangle shawl. So this will be coming down to the point, and then I'm gonna pick you back up with my actual project that I am truly working on, and then I'm gonna show you how to complete this particular project as well as the border that goes all the way around it. Okay, and make sure you don't go into that last one over here, so you stop one early and you will have 5 left over. So when you look at it from this perspective, you saw that the shawl started off really wide, and then it got smaller and smaller and smaller as we did it. So without further ado, I want you now to continue this pattern, and I'll meet you back up and when you have 5 empty spaces left at the end, and I'll show you how to finish, and I'll bring back my project and I'll finish that one live on camera with you. So now I have my carrot cake sample, and I have my 5 spaces left at the end. So this is my actual real project that I've been working on. So to start the next row, after you have these 5 left, it's just like you were before. So you're just going to slip stitch into the top of the first, you're going to slip stitch in the top of the chain, and then slip stitch in the top of the next double crochet, and then begin. So to do this row, what you have to just do, really quite simple, is just chain up 1, so chain up 4, so that was 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then come to the next one and double crochet, and then chain 1 and then double crochet in the next, and then chain 1. And it's like before, you don't go all the way to the end, so you just don't worry about this last space. So you end up with 3 spaces that are left over, and then our final row, just turn our work, we can do this really quite simply on camera here, is that we have to slip stitch, then is just go over into the top one, into the chain, we have to eliminate another box out on both sides, and then we go to the top of the next one. Okay, so in this particular case there's only 3 spaces left. I just slip stitched over. You're gonna chain 4, so 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then you're just gonna double crochet into that next one, and you're done. So that's it. Okay, so that you see how you went from 5 to 3 to 1, and this is the very bottom of your shawl. So what you need to do then is fasten off, and then we're gonna start playing with the border next. There's 2 rounds to finish off this whole thing. So let's create your border. You're gonna go to the upper left corner, and you're gonna do single crochets all the way around. So what's gonna happen is that when you get to the top here, you actually have your double crochets and your chain 1s that you see, but on the sides here you can't see those at all. Okay, and so what you're just gonna do is that you're going to work your way in an even fashion. You can see that you have your chain 4s kind of idea on the sides here all the way down the side. So what I would recommend that you do is that you slip stitch it. Okay, just attach, chain 1, and use this strand here just to bury it, and just double crochet, or sorry, single crochet 3 times. So 1, 2 and 3, and then move to the next row. Okay, so go there, that one, and go 1 and 2 and 3. and then move to the next row. So 1 and 2 and 3, and you're gonna go all the way around using that, except for when you come to the top edge, actually use the stitches. So use the single crochet. You can go right into an actual space if you wanted to, and just top of a double crochet, but just go and equally space out these single crochets and just be consistent about it, and it will look good each and every time. So I'm putting 3 single crochets into each space as I go all the way around. I'll see you at the end of this round. So I'm coming all the way back around on my shawl here, and I'm coming back to where I had started on the other side. So I'm on the top edge, so I'm going into the space and then into the top of the double crochet. This is the final one here, so I'm just going into space, and then I'm gonna go right into an actual chain to keep it square looking, and then I'm going to just slip stitch to the first one that we had started with. So now we're gonna go in the opposite direction. So I'm gonna come in the direction that I was just in. I'm not gonna turn my project. It's called reverse single crochet. To do reverse single crochet, we're gonna chain up 1 first, and instead of moving forward in the direction of the hook, we're gonna move backward in the direction of the handle. So you're going to go into the stitch prior. So just watch how I rotate the hook. So I'm just gonna go into the stitch prior, dive right in, and then you're gonna grab the yarn and pull through, and then you're gonna pull through 2. That's a single crochet. So then I go backward, and I'm gonna come into the one prior to the hook. So look where the handle is and go in that direction, going in, pull through, and pull through 2. Now the reverse single crochet doesn't show up until about stitch number 3. So coming into the next one, in, okay, making sure this yarn strand goes over the top of the project, and then through 2. So going into the next one, pull through, and then pull through 2. So again, so you're coming close. So this is called the reverse single crochet. It's also called as the crab stitch. This is the final revolution. So every single crochet that you did all the way around is all gonna get 1 reverse single crochet, and you're gonna notice the difference of the way that it looks. Looks like it's rope. It thickens it up, and so you can change the nice flat edge to this beautiful edge that you have, and that's all you gotta do. When you come all the way around, you're gonna fasten off, weave in your ends, and you're good to wear it. So that's pretty cool. So what I'll do is I'll put a photo of this finished project at the end of this video today, and you can see what it looks like, and you can also do the same thing with the others if you wanted to use other types of yarns, but I wanted to really demonstrate how this yarn would look in Caron Cakes today. So until next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of Yarnspirations as well as thecrochetcrowd.com. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye bye.